Okay, this is the conversion of in the new house here of the garage into a theater slash collection area, since I didn't have a room specifically for a collection area here today. So we come through and we come through into the room here, and you can see it's packed. I don't have enough room for all the stuff, so there's some stuff still in storage, and there's some other stuff that is actually coming a little later. But you could see a brief glimpse of this room. Currently we have 5 leather recliners that are electric leather recliners. You push a button and they just recline, with all the models and the swords and stuff all the way across over here. This wall right here, we put in, that's where the garage door was. And if you look up at the top here, we still have the garage lighting and the garage fixtures, and you can see the lines up there where the fixtures were for the garage door opener. We just took those down. Right now we're not even going to bother painting over that, because eventually we're going to do some more right here. I'll explain that in a little bit. But anyway, as you come into the room here, immediately you're going to come over here, and you're going to turn over here, and you can see the screen. It's a 14-foot screen. We have a high definition projector that gives us and we get full sound 7.1 all the way around, digital. This is hooked not only to the satellite feed, but it's also hooked to the internet. And this is my rack. This is one of the rack servers I've got right there. But and that has feeds coming through over here. It's connected. So this is connected to the internet and Xbox and whatever else we have in the house. Basically, we just push a button in any room of the house, and all our movies and everything are stored right here. So anybody can listen to music, view pictures, or watch movies in any room of the house that we have computers. Anyway, in this little alcove coming down out of that is several wires coming into this the Cat 6 coming down into the server rack here, and the gigabit Ethernet, and the sound system, and a number of computers and servers within there. Anyway, turning our attention over here, we turn to the right of the server here, and this was a water heater area right there. I'm going to eventually get a door right there and cover that water heater up. So anyway, right, what we have in front of it now next to the rack is one of the helmets. I don't have all the helmets displayed right now because there's not enough room. Got Luke Skywalker's helmet that he wore in episode 4. The EFX, that's an EFX helmet. The EFX Viper helmet that is signed by Dirk Benedict and Richard Hatch right there. We got Boba Fett's helmet, which I believe came from Master Replicas. And then we got the elusive Darth Vader helmet from episode 3, made from the molds that Christian Hayden wore. And these, not very many of them went out because apparently there was some issues with blemishes and things like that. I think about 4 of them made it out in the world, so I kept mine because of that specific thing. I don't have any blemishes on this helmet. It's a beautiful helmet. I've worn it and it's amazing to even put it on. I put it on once, never do it again. And we have our trio of trooper helmets here, clone trooper helmets all the way to the stormtrooper, and I put it right underneath the Boba Fett helmet there so that you could see the progress all the way to the stormtrooper that we saw in episode 4 and onward. Down below there we have the Rocketeer helmet, and then we have right here, because it's black you can't really see it, but that is the helmet that oh gosh, what's his name? Can't remember his name right now, but it's He's married to Angelina Jolie, you know that guy. Brad Pitt. Anyway, that's the helmet he wore in Troy. He's the head of the Myrmidons, that specialized group of warriors, and that was his helmet right there. Next to that is a replica of the Spaniards fighting helmet in Gladiator without the spikes, and that is the Maximus helmet without the spikes, a replica of that. So coming back around here, we got a popcorn machine and a little thing from Predator right there, and just I call it the boob the boob shield right there. Anyway, this is going to get covered up pretty soon. Coming around here to the left, in front of the 14-foot screen, just have a couple couple tables out here to display a couple things. I decided to put the hilts of the lightsabers that were offered through Master Replicas here, the ones with the signatures and whatever, what have you. Back there we have an actual Russian. That's a real Russian. I got that from Russia. A real Russian naval hat for the winter. Very cool stuff. Love it, and it's very warm. F-18 fighter toy. Can you believe that's a toy, ages 3 and up? I cannot. And then one of the renditions of the Ark of the Covenant. I just like that, so I put it out there. But anyway, we got down beneath that we have the Mark Hamill signed edition of the New Hope and Empire Strikes Back lightsaber hilts that he receives from Ben Kenobi in Episode 4. The signed Carrie Fisher thermal detonator, and then a workable Star Trek communicator. Very cool stuff. It actually works. It's very neat. Over here, down on the bottom, this is the Jedi side. We have what's his name? Oh well, we'll just start from the top. Samuel Jackson, right there. Mace Windu's. Right there, along with the little miniature edition. This one's signed. And we have Obi-Wan Kenobi's, or is this Luke's? No, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi's from Episode 4. And then beneath that is Obi-Wan's mentor, the guy that got killed in Episode 1. Why can't I remember his name? Good actor. I like him. I'll come back to that later, but there you go. That's it. Coming over here, we have Ray Park's hilt for his Darth Maul, and that is a replica made by Master Replicas. And another Master Replica right here of the Stormtrooper blaster. Very cool blaster, very heavy, made out of metal, very nice. Another blaster right here. This is the Rebel blaster. You see them as they're blasting people in the hallway in the beginning of Episode 4. That's the blaster right there. Very cool, also made out of metal. And we have the old training remote, the very first thing the Master Replica released. I believe Frank Cerny is responsible for doing this. Thank you, Frank. Very nice. Jedi training remote. We all remember Luke practicing with that on the Millennium Falcon with his helmet and the blast shield down, and the rest is history. Right here, here's a bunch of blasters or phasers from Star Trek that are pewter, and were from, I believe, I can't remember the company's name now, but some of the guys have worked for this company doing these things. But anyway, they got the Cardassian phaser, a Klingon phaser that is only half the size of a normal Klingon. It might be at 2/3. The vacuum phaser, not quite the vacuum, it's the one that's after the vacuum phaser from TNG. Then we got the phaser right there from QMX, the new movie, the new Star Trek movie phaser with the new cast. And then the old classic phaser right there. I have got much better replicas of all of these that I have not yet been able to display. In any case, coming over here, down here, this is the Sith side. We have Count Dooku's sword down there, and then of course Darth Sidious, who is the Emperor, right there, his sword, hilt, and then Darth Vader's from Empire Strikes Back, right there. And you know, everybody knows whose hat that is. Of course, I just picked that up at Disneyland, and it won't fit my head, so I would have loved to have worn that, but I can't. Got the Borg Queen, yay, woo! Hey, a P-38. 1/18 scale P-38, very cool plane. Wish I had one real. Down below that, from Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, the Han Solo blaster. Very cool stuff. And down beneath that, pride and joy here, that is Herbert Jefferson Jr.'s actual sidearm prop from the 1978 film and the 1979 series, Battlestar Galactica. Herbert gave that to me specifically because he knew what kind of a fan I was and that I just love that stuff. So he brought it to me, gave it to me. I've got some pictures of that. And then he signed the side for me. Very cool. Nice guy. Love him. Thanks, Herbert. Coming up here, we have Sting, Lord of the Rings. Very cool stuff. This sword is actually not metal, but it's some sort of plastic where it actually glows blue when you turn on a switch. You know, just like it's supposed to glow blue if any orcs are nearby. Here's the fighting knives of Legolas. You know, United Cutlery. Very cool stuff. Those are very, very sharp. I was impressed with how sharp they were. Coming around here, in these cabinets I have various things, mostly a lot of weapons and swords that are still there that I have not put up yet, and things like G36 rifles and stuff like that. So they're all in there, and we won't open that right now because it's a mess. But anyway, up there, hey, look at that. The helmet of the Gondor warrior from Lord of the Rings. And then we have the Sword of the King right there, Narsil. Very cool. I love this sword. My children gave this to me one day for my birthday. I think it was my birthday or Father's Day. I can't remember which. But it was, it's been I just love this sword. It's beautiful. Thank you, girls. And then we got right here, the sword of Gandalf the Grey. Right here. Very nice sword. Very large. Not as heavy as I would imagine because it's not, you know, battle ready or whatever. Sword of the Witch King. Very, very cool. Very long sword. Also not as heavy as I would imagine because it's not battle ready. But you go up here and we have the helmet of the Witch King. Very cool helmet. Huge and very heavy. Tried it on. That little spike on top weighs so much it just drags down right in front. So you have to have a pretty big head for that to actually get on there. It's kind of hard to see how big this thing is without actually being in person. So it's really large. Really large. Coming over here. Okay, we have our Battlestar Galactica stuff. We'll start from the bottom here. Right here we have, these are the DeSanto continuation Vipers, okay? Everybody knows the story of how those came to be with Michael Miles, me, and Kobe Lorang, and all the other guys that got involved. And then Gil Bermana did the redo of these things, and they came out a lot better. Anyway, DeSanto never got his, so I gave him one of mine. And he's got it on his desk right now as he is working on the new Galactica film that is coming out or being written by John Orloff, another friend of mine. Over here, that right there, built by R.L. Bleecker, all these white ones. That he built it as the CAG, and it's Starbuck. Okay, and then we have Boomer right next to it. Over here, coming around, we have Jolly and Green Bean. Now, if you notice, they all have different markings and different numbers on them. It's very, very cool. Bob did a great job on these. He is now retired, and I am very happy to say that I got some of his work. This right here is Laura. It came from a kit by Kip Hart, Very cool kit. I can't remember who bought that, but it's or who I bought that from, but he did a good job on it, and I think it was he traded me for a. Actually, I didn't buy it. He traded it. Yeah, that's exactly right. I gave him money, and he needed a laptop for his daughter or something like that. So we just I gave him a laptop money, and he gave me one of these. So very cool stuff. Love it. Okay, as we go up, we have the Emmerich, which is, this originally was being built as a study model for the new Galactica film that DeSanto Singer's doing, and we got a little bit carried away here as I was speaking about the design and stuff like that to DeSanto. Robert went in his own direction and made it look more ancient, and when I showed Robert Bleecker, this was built by Robert Lapine, by the way. When I showed Robert Bleecker, R.L. Bleecker, he says it looks ancient, so it sparked a new idea in my design, and this is the ship that sparked the idea for the new web series that we're going to be doing, directed by Eric Chu, written by myself, and worked on by a number of amazing guys, called 13. Okay, this Battlestar may or may not be used in the series at this time. Still trying to figure out how we're going to work that in. Going down here, these are from kits made by Mike Salzo. These are the hero kits. The original kits that were originally offered were made from a pulls of the an original used in the film, in the 78 film, 79 series of Battlestar Galactica, and it was they were kind of generations small, so with every generation of resin model, they get smaller and smaller and smaller as they get further away from the original. So he redid it from scratch, him and Mike Reese and a few other guys, and they got some parts and they made it full size again. And these are accurate to the original all the way. It's beautiful. The original hero is very, very gorgeous. So this one right here, as you can see, the tail's blown out. Very cool. All built by R.L. Bleecker. Again, this is Zach. You see, Jesse's girl guy. You know, we see Zach over there looking toward Apollo, his brother. As Apollo, this is Apollo's right here. As Apollo's looking back, and you know, we all know what happens to Zach. He gets killed just short of the fleet, and notifying the fleet that the Cylons are indeed attacking, planned by Baltar. Next to that, we have Starbuck. This thing is beat up, really beat up. As a matter of fact, on the bottom, it was done, I can't remember the episode, but the whole bottom is blown out and ripped apart. Very, very cool that R.L. Bleecker did that. He put lines and everything else going down there with just metal hanging off. Very cool. And then in that same episode, here's Boomer. Boomer's Viper, and Boomer is looking up to see the damage, as you know, as you could see Starbuck looking down and probably putting out the flames in his cockpit there. Boomer's looking up to see underneath his fighter to see what kind of damage is done. But you can see these are just gorgeous, beautiful builds. And this is a beautiful, most inspiring, very cool Battlestar. Oh, hey, you know what? I forgot. This Battlestar down here. This is a Battlestar that was a best of both worlds. And this is built by Cliff. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Cliff. Anyway, he did what he did is he took the concept there of the new Battlestar with all the new Battlestars with the landing bays there, put a whole bunch of guns on the old Battlestar. You can see all the guns on there. Very cool. I'm going to take photos of this pretty soon here, and made a very killer Battlestar. This thing rocks. It is from front to back very, very cool, and it's about 37.5 inches compared to this one being 41 inches. Pretty much half studio scale is what it is. Come up here. What do we got? Okay, we got Cylon Raiders from the original series. This one right here made from or the original molds were from the shop of Jim Key, and I believe it was Mark Dixon that actually put these together from after an original, and they were selling this one right here for a while, and then it ended up going to Mike Salza, where he sold a whole bunch of these. This one right here was built by Richard Long. Very cool. Richard Long, great, another great artist. This one here was this is the version 2. Mike Salza decided to do a hero version of this bird, and you can see that the ball angle is different, the roundness and stuff, and it's a little more menacing. This is the one they would use. Oh my goodness, I just saw that my whole canopy's busted. Oh no. Alright, I'm gonna have to fix that. That's no good. Anyway, maybe I'll put it at a blast point or something. That has to happen during the move. Anyway, Mike Salza made these really cool V2s out there. Very nice. They are, this pattern right here is the Mobius models is actually turning this pattern into their studio scale release coming pretty soon for the studio scale Raider. These are 135. They're going to be released as 132nd. Okay, right here, Kip Hart. Kip Hart did the he made a kit for the Cylon Raiders from the Ron Moore series. This one was built up by R.L. Bleecker, as was this. This was also built up by R.L. Bleecker. This one was done by Scar, and you can see why. He's got the scar right on the head there, and he's pretty beat up. Anybody who knows the Ron Moore series knows Scar. We look up a little bit, right above him, we got the Mark II Viper of Lieutenant Kara Thrace Starbuck. This was the very first one. This kit was put out by FM Bottle Company. That's Frank and Mo. And this one was done to look exactly like the beat up Starbuck version, the digital. They made no physical models for this show. And this one, when Frank and Mo made this, R.L. Bleecker painted this and built it up to look exactly like mark for mark to the digital model that they used for Starbuck. This is it. A lot of people said it wasn't that beat up. I'm sorry folks, this is exactly what it looked like. I have the digital files. We can show you right next to each other. Okay, right up there, I think this was a kit by a former company called Sci-Fi Models. I can't remember much about that. Let me get back to you. The artist is really awesome, great guy. I have to get back to you so I can remember what I'm talking about before I speak more about that. But it's very cool. The Mark VII Viper. This is the and I would say probably it's about 1/32nd scale, as opposed to this being 1/20th scale. You can see the big size difference there. Over here, beautiful kit. The SMT. Mike Salza ended up making a bigger, more accurate kit to this, but the SMT kit, this was originally patterned by Alfred Wong, and this one right here was built because it is different from the studio model just a tad. Mark Elkins made this for me. We turned it into the Atlantia shuttle, the presidential shuttle, with the and this is just an amazing piece. Mark did such great work on here. It's just gorgeous. That completes the Galactica tour there. We're going to 24 minutes on this video. Woo! Okay, here we go. Studio scale Millennium Falcon on a studio stand. This is the master replica. I think this one turned out pretty good. Done by the Polka Dot King. If you look on the bottom, you'll notice there are polka dots here and there. And that guy was the guy that everybody liked to get because he did a really good job on the paint job. There's the signature of Harrison Ford for that. Beautiful piece. As we will just kind of turn around here a little bit, and so I can walk down the other way. This is the captain's chair right there, the middle seat. That is mine, yeah. Okay, we come around here. Coming back to the door here, forget the mess in the hallway. Right here, okay. This is good stuff. I'm not done with this area yet, so. Okay, these swords right here, they're the swords of the Immortals from the movie 300. The two swords that they wore on their back. A friend of mine actually bought the, named Hector, bought the mask of the Immortals, and he's got that on display. Well, these are the swords. And then also, Hector, speaking of Hector, bought me this wonderful, beautiful, fantastic shield from 300, screen used. Really, really cool. Love it. Really nice. Thank you, Hector. And there's the sword of the Spartans right there. Very cool, very heavy. Here's a replica of the helmet that Leonidas wore. Very cool stuff. We come across, and of course everybody knows what that is if you're into Star Trek and Next Generation on. So that is a Bat'leth. Yes, it is. Klingon Bat'leth. Okay, and then we have a Roman sword right there. Roman, I believe it's not even an officer sword, it's just a gladiator arena sword. Very sharp, very pointy. Here's another one of the 1/18th toys. It is an F-14 Tomcat. Very cool. You can see right here, I've had a problem with the plastic landing gear on this because this bird is heavy, and the landing gear on this side kind of just came undone. So, but this is a really good replica, very beautiful. Okay, we're just going to kind of cruise on down here. We have a bunch of swords going across the way there. We're going to cruise on down, and I'll explain everything as we come back, okay? All right. All right, right here. We'll start with the top. No. Okay. This right here, half studio scale. Kit from Atomic City Models, friend of mine, Scott Alexander. This build was done by R.L. Bleecker. Very cool how he did and achieved the paneling effect into this bird. And if you really look close, you could see it, this basic botany bay kind of scratched away there over time there, and all the weathering patterns and stuff. This was a very cool model. Very good job by R.L. Bleecker. This one right here used the single most interesting build of this, as this is a 1/350 scale kit by Sovereign Replicas, built by Richard Long himself, REL, and it's the only one of its kind. He did it in the green that would be appropriate for the Romulan. This thing comes fully lit. I don't have it lit right now, but it lights up pretty good. We took some blue screenshots of this puppy, and it went into some science fiction magazines all over the world. A lot of different publications. Very cool. This specific ship right here from the blue screen we shot. Okay, right here. Who doesn't know that? 1/350 scale Katinga. That's the first one, the first release of Sovereign Replicas. Again, this one was built by Richard Long. It was the very first one off the line. Built it very, very nicely, very well. Comes fully lit. I don't have it on, as obvious as that is, but it is beautiful. This also, the blue screen photos that I took of it ended up in many publications around the world. Very cool stuff. Here's a little, the little AMT. Richard Long built that for me a long time ago, and we took some green screen shots of that as I was getting into the photography bit, and it turned out pretty good. But I'll always treasure this because it's just, you know, very cool looking at this originally AMT. Over here, this is a special one by Atomic City Models. This is the D7 studio scale Klingon cruiser. This one right here started out as a replica of the desktop model that Gene Roddenberry actually had on his desk with the proper paint job, but had a little accident, kind of fell apart. I sent it to Richard Long, REL again, Sovereign Replicas, and we discussed how we wanted it done, and we decided to be original and do the paint job that they were going to do on Star Trek Phase 2, a series that never actually made it out. Instead, they did Star Trek the Motion Picture and came out with this instead. But this has all the panels all painted on it, just like Star Trek Phase 2. Very cool bird, the only one of its kind, of course. Coming down here, woo! The NX-01, beautiful. Okay, kit bipolar lights, of course, 1/350 scale. It's very large, next to the, it's exactly the same scale as the Master Replica Enterprise right there, and the 1/350 scale Botany Bay, that is also to scale with those. That was offered by Richard Long and Sovereign Replicas. This build was done by Richard Long himself. We had a little unfortunate accident on the tip there, so it kind of fell off, but beautiful build. This build right here of the NX-01, let's see, that was done by an ex-ILMer, works out of Florida. I don't think he wants me to say his name on the so I won't do that. But beautiful enterprise here from Master Replicas. Thank you, John Eves, for working so hard on getting these out for everybody. But a lot of people had some problems with these. I didn't. Mine actually came out perfect. So I'm really happy with this, and look forward to showing it even more. This right here, QMX, a little gift from QMX. They sent me this, took some photographs of it, and very cool bird. Everybody knows this from Stargate, and this one is actually from SG-1, with their little Stargate down below, and very cool, very neat stuff. Okay, coming over here, woohoo! Thunder Fighter. Yeah, that's right, a Thunder Fighter, otherwise known as a Starfighter. I believe it's Thunder Fighter anyway. From Buck Rogers, in the 25th century, and the Earth Force right there. Very cool kit. This one came from Steve Nyson. Also, one that had come from the Jim Key shop, revamped. And so they had these patterns left, and Steve Nyson has them and sells this bird, or did sell this bird a while ago. Studio scale, very heavy, very large, very cool. R.L. Bleecker did a wonderful job building this for me. It is just gorgeous. Right next to that, another little gift from QMX here, the F-302 fighter. Took some killer shots of that. You would not believe how big it looked on the screen. Very cool stuff. Love this little ship here. And right here, Mark Bradley, a kit from Mark Bradley. Very few of these made them out. I don't know if he's still selling these or not, but studio scale, Draconian Marauder, hatchet fighter. Very cool stuff. This one right here was built up by an artist who I don't believe wants me to say his name also, so I won't. But he did a great job. Wonderful piece. I love it. Coming down, we have the Code 3 ATST studio scale. ATST. Very nice. It actually comes apart. There's little guys in there, pilots and stuff like that. There's even a clock on the wall. Very nice piece. Coming next to that is the Code 3 Slave 1. It comes apart, detailed parts all over the place with guns. There's even little guns down here underneath those that have rocket launchers. Very neat stuff. But all the parts come out, and you can see the logo and things like that. Down here, I'm going to put something there. I'll cover that in a minute. Coming across. Okay, here we go. We have Gold 5, I believe. I think this is Gold 5 from A New Hope. This was from a Steve Nyson kit. Built, beautifully built, from a Steve Nyson kit. By an artist that doesn't care for me to say his name again. Perfect ILM replica of the original Beautiful build. This one right here, we revamped the Master Replica kit, which is essentially the same parts as the Steve Nissen kit. This is the Master Replica redone as Gold Leader. And every one of these is a little bit different with the piping, and you'll notice no R2 units in the back there. That's exactly how they were in the film. The engines in the back there are all different. They all have different everything is a little bit different about them. They have different sized guns on them. Everything's just a tad different. It's really cool how they did it. But once again, same artist and same artist again. This is the Red Jammer. Not used in episode 4. This ended up, I believe, getting some screen time in Return of the Jedi, but we don't see it very much. That is a very different build. The piping and the colors really, and those rockets on the top really set it aside from the rest. So, okay, coming down right there, the V-Wing. This is the V-Wing from episode 3, I believe. It was guarding the Emperor. The fighter that was guarding the Emperor. Rather ugly ship, if you ask me, but it was worthy of having created and built. Very cool. Very cool. Next here is a design. Never made it into the Clone Wars, episode 2. It was supposed to be the lead fighter in that. And Warren Fu, ILMer Warren Fu, actually came up with this design. An artist built it up, a very talented person. And there's only one other one like this in the world, except it's smaller. So this is the only, this one right here is 1/18 scale. Beautifully done. Love it. The only one of its kind. Beautiful stuff. Okay, coming around. Up top here, we have the V-19 from Star Wars, the Clone Wars. This is actually a toy, folks. Can you believe it? This is a toy. It was made for a 1/18 figure, but the 1/18 figure was too large. So they took a 1/24 scale figure, put him in there. You could see him in there. I believe that's Captain Rex. And we made a studio model out of it. Very cool stuff. Looks great. Coming down here, yeah, General Grievous. That's right, General Grievous. And his ship, the very cool ship. You can see a little general looking out there at you. This is also very rare. Nobody really, you know, they made this is also a redo from a toy, and metal guns were put in and more realistic paint jobs, so we could have a studio model of it, because that's about the same size as the study model that they did. Coming over here, this B-Wing is huge. It's huge. It's like 30 inches tip to tip. And it's 1/24 scale, studio scale. No, I'm sorry. It's 1/24 scale. The actual B-Wing used was not 1/24 scale. It was like 1/35 scale or something like that. It was a little bit smaller than this. But this one was patterned and released. It was patterned by Alfred Wong, sorry. For Jeff Bros, who cast the first kits, and then eventually Jeff Bros sold them to Robert Burns, who now sells these kits regularly. They're going to have these repatterned and sold again. More accurate patterns apparently from digital files. Very cool stuff. This build was done by Mark Elkins. Look at the quality of this build, folks. Real blast damage. I mean, you can see the metal underneath. It's just amazing. Great stuff. I had to put this in because, you know, from the episode 3 fighters that we know that Anakin and Obi-Wan were flying, you could see by the size of R2-D2 how small this fighter is. That basically a whole person just fits in that pod right there. And this is to scale with the B-Wing and those X-Wings over there. That's it. That's how big it is to that. Amazing, isn't it? So I just put that in there for scale, really. Coming down, the studio scale TIE fighter. This is huge, very heavy. Made by Steve Nissen. Originally, the studio scale TIE fighter was released by a company called Icons. Icons had released this puppy, Steve took it after they went defunct, and he took the pattern, made it more accurate, and then released his own kit of it. And this is the result. Beautiful. And this build was done by R.L. Bleecker. This too was photographed on blue screen and used in many publications around the world now. This actual exact one. Next to that is the Steve Nyson TIE Interceptor 124 scale, studio scale, built by R.L. Bleecker. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece. This is a studio scale, and it's very fragile because of the wings being the way they are. They're very long in the front. Coming up here, we have the Sith Infiltrator. This one we saw Darth Maul flying around in. This is actually studio scale. This build was done by R.L. Bleecker from a kit. I can't remember who the kit maker was, but this is the only one of its kind. I believe there are only about 3 or 4 of these actually got built and done. So this is one of them. Not a bad piece at all. It's certainly one that I wanted for the collection to show. You know, basically how the TIE fighters came into play with the Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator. Very cool. Next to that, we have the V3s, the X-Wing V3 kit from MSLZ-22, Mike Salzo. This one was done as Red Leader by R.L. Bleecker. This is a beautiful build. Beautiful build. I'm having some problems with the glass right now. I'm going to get the glass replaced on this so that we actually have glass in the canopies of all of my X-Wings, the whole squadron. This is a beautiful piece. So, coming over to the left of that is the this is Blue 7. This was derived from this is a creation of R.L. Bleecker. This kit is an original Captain Cardboard kit, and Captain Cardboard is Atomic City model Scott Alexander, and he derived his kit actually from that exact bird right there. I'll go into that in a minute. But that kit came out and stuff like that. We had it originally built as Red Leader. I sent it to Bob, and he repainted it for me as this unique bird of Blue 7. We did not know how the after 6 how the numbered numbers would happen on the wings, and the you know, aside from like Red 5 there, how it was going to go to after 6. So we theorized and put it like that. It turns out that they actually cut a line through the middle of them so that there's little blocks, and I'll show you that later on another video. Anyway, Blue 7. Next to that, Red 5, a V3. You can see Luke here looking back, going, "What the heck just happened? My engine, woohoo!" And R2-D2 getting exploded here as he works on the engine panel there. He's going crazy after Darth Vader, Luke's father, tries to wipe him out. Doesn't know it's his kid. Don't think he would have cared anyway at that point. But anyway, this is this was done as the very first real accurate paint job to the original studio model. Up until then, everybody was doing guesswork on this paint job. It was done by photos of the actual studio model that were given to me by Jason Eaton. Thank you, Jason. Okay, going down here. This right here, the Darth Vader TIE Fighter. This is a 1/18th scale kit that was released by Laz Henning, and he built this for me specifically. Thank you, Laz. This is the most beautiful Darth Vader TIE Fighter I think I've ever seen. It is gorgeous and it's huge. We established it, the 1/18th scale, as being super scale for these birds. Beautiful, good stuff. Next to that, here we go. Check it out. We have, this is the Icons X-Wing. as you can see, it's kind of messed up. This bird right here has a long history. It started out being given to George Lucas as his desktop model from Icons before they released it, so it was an artist proof. Anyway, it ended up having these saggy wings right here. George sent it out to be repaired by a gentleman who then sent it over to, eventually ended up in Scott Alexander's hands to be repaired. Got long forgot about after a while. Eventually, when Scott pulled it out, he decided, you know what? He took measurements off it and then made the Captain Cardboard X-Wing. So yes, the actual study model of Icons that George Lucas once had on his desk ended up being the Captain Cardboard X-Wing and started all the Studio X-Wing model kits that are out there today. But this is it. This is George Lucas's Icons artist proof now in my hands. We went over Red 5. This is another Red 5. This is another Captain Cardboard kit right here of Red 5. This one was done by Ernie G. I don't have a stand for it right now, but this was my first X-Wing. Very cool. Love it. Ernie did such a fantastic job. It's gorgeous. We go down here. We have a Star Destroyer. This sucker is pretty big. It's about 27.5 inches long. Fully lit. It's a custom build by R.L. Bleecker, reminiscent of a design that Ralph McQuarrie had come up with, and Bob had built for me specifically with that design in mind. We have called this the let's see, not the Incumbent, but the I don't even know the name of my own models. What do you think about that? Anyway, very cool model. I love this ship. It's got ball turrets on the bottom for big ion cannons and just the whole bit. Very, very nicely done. He did a great job. Love it. Over here. Yeah, that's right. The first ship we ever see in the Star Wars saga. The Blockade Runner, the 10F4. And this right here is a Randy Cooper kit. Oh, by the way, stick a pin in that. Coming back here, this model right here, blue screen shots were also taken of it, and it was used actually for a Star Wars, the 2012, one of the 2012 Star Wars calendars, the Darth Vader calendar. It's right on the cover. Anyway, coming back. Okay, the reason I say that is because this right here is another piece that some shots were taken, and it was used for one of the Topps cards that Lucasfilm has put out, Topps, and for the collector cards. This one was built and painted by R.L. Bleecker. Randy Cooper himself uses this one as the example of how to paint how to paint a Blockade Runner, because it's just gorgeous. It's very, very ILM. Thank you, Bob. Very nicely done. Anyway, that is, you can see that on the Topps card. Very nice. Coming up here, what do we have? We have 3 ships here. These are E-Wings from the Expanded Universe collection. This is the original. These were released by 124 scale, released by FM Model Company. This is the original, painted up as a security ship. R.L. Bleecker did this one. Very, very, very nice. Well, we had a thought. What would happen if we just started to progress this a little bit, so that eventually it looks more like the X-Wing. So we got 3 of these, and we took that, and this is the second one right here that Bleecker did, and he actually put an R2 unit in the back of it, and we raised the wings because it just looks cool, man. You know, originally we took a bird of prey, and we were actually the first ones to ever raise the wings of the bird of prey to be like what we saw in the Search for Spock, and so the only ones, because they only went flat before or down, and we took them, cut the baffles, and raised them up. So anyway, that look is really cool. So we decided to do that on these these ships here, as this is the interim. There's the original, there's the interim, and then here's the final product with engines on the back, exactly like the other ones, with the longer laser lances, and even the nose is different, and the back of the window. Very cool. RT unit, R5 unit rather. And those three are done by RL Bleecker. Once again, there's a lot more to show that is not here, and we're gonna go through, you know, stuff a little bit later. But there's some sword collections here. Here's the Shield of Gondor. Got more swords here. Some really heavy stuff on that wall. The Elven Shield, very heavy, very, you know, very and just very heavy. And anyway, and then just more swords, and I don't, there's just not enough room in this place. This is 25 by 23 foot room, and it's just, you just cannot place it all there. But you know, we got life-size Yoda and stuff, and a little R2 unit there. So anyway, we're coming back around this wall eventually right here that's in front of me. Oh, eventually we're going to have all the X-Wings here coming across. These three right here, the E-Wings, will eventually go right down there. Okay, that's what's going to happen there. I've got more TIE fighters coming and 5 more X-Wings that will actually do, so we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 right here, and then blue 7, and then red 12 will be right here. So you guys will be able to see that. That space right there is reserved for 2 studio scale snow speeders that Richard Long is building for me right now. This right here, this spot, we have a huge 1/24 scale AT-AT coming. It's like the size of a Great Dane. I'm going to fill that whole spot up a 2-foot level there, and it's going to be sitting right there as a main spot for that. So we have several things coming in. 2 Randy Cooper Star Destroyers are coming here. They're 37.5 inches, so picture 10 more inches onto that. Very cool. We have a 6-foot Enterprise by Steve Neal coming. That's the Lexington. We have the 8-foot studio scale Enterprise from the motion picture coming. We have the Enterprise E being refurbished from an accident that happened that Richard built originally for me, and now Mark Elkins is fixing for me. It's very, very nice, huge Enterprise E from the movie Nemesis. Also, we have the Enterprise D 1650, very huge, coming, and to scale with that, and a studio scale Defiant, which is going to be bigger than that Falcon sitting right there. And it's kind of hard to see how big this is, but that's a big model. I mean, it's just, you know, it's nearly 3 feet long. So anyway, we're taking this right here, this wall, and it's up right now because there's a garage door behind there. But eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to knock this out and move it back, move all this back another 25 feet. Okay, we're going to leave this wall here so that we have a wall in the middle in interim here, so that we could walk around on each side of the wall and have another 25 feet of room for the bigger models. But then we'll have, not only that, we'll have the wall coming out, the walls going all the way around, right? But we'll also have the middle of the room as well, and that's when we're going to do carpeting and everything else in there. The one great thing about these racks, and the reason I have them on these racks, is because they're rollable, and you don't have to move anything. You just roll the rack out. That's all you need to do. Just roll the rack out, and that's exactly what we have going on here. So anyway, once we do that, then this will be removed right here, but the wall will stay, and we'll take another 5 seats, and we'll put a stadium seating, an upper level here, for another 5 seats behind there. So we have an actual theater that'll seat 10 people comfortably, that fully recline and can watch this movie. Let me tell you, a 14-foot screen is like being at the movies. It's wonderful, and high definition, you can't miss. Anyway, that's it. That's what we got for now. There's a lot more coming. A lot more in storage. I'm sorry that we just don't have the room to put it all in here. And 8-foot Star Destroyers, you know, the whole bit. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming. Stuff that I've even missed. You know, more TIE fighters. Just all kinds of stuff. And I do apologize that we weren't able to get that and show that to you today. But I just wanted to give you an idea of the conversion room that we just went through, and it being still not big enough even at 500 square feet. It's crazy, isn't it? Nuts. Anyway, okay, that's it for tonight. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.